It's warming up a little bit and I need to make some pots, but first I need to process some clay, so I figured I'd share the process. And I'm going to be doing this indoors because it still gets down below freezing here at night, so I don't want the clay water mixture to freeze, so I'm going to do this process in the kitchen. Here I've got a tote of half processed, or I should say half frozen, the leftovers of the last time I processed some clay. So here's my raw clay. I'll get close up. You can see that it's full of, there's some roots, and there's lots of gravel. Huh, pistachio shell. So basically, we need to get out all of the stuff in this clay that isn't clay. The gravel, the sand, the silt. It's alive. And this water is really cold. I'm gonna heat up some water on the stove and get it really hot and pour that in here so this water will be more tolerable to get in there with my hands. So one thing I can do right now is just skim the top, rest of the organics from the clay, and a lot of them will float up to the top. So I'll do this a couple times, and then I'll also screen the clay after I've mixed it. This one's still frozen at the bottom. Well, it's mostly water that's frozen, but there's still some clay stuck to it on the bottom. Oh, that's interesting. So I'll let this thaw out overnight. So I'll have to mix that one up tomorrow. Just getting to the last little bits of gravel at the bottom. This is mostly gravel with a little bit of clay in there. There's a lot of organics floating on the surface of this clay. So once I get through all of this stuff on the surface, then it won't have quite as much. Now we're getting down to the bottom kind of sludge. It's getting thicker with more clay particles and silt and sand, so it's clogging up this screen really easily. So let's see. I'll try to get this to go through. We're gonna just wait overnight now and let the clay particles settle out of the water. And you'll see the water layer at the top, and then we can cup the water off or pour the water off. And at that point, we're just trying to dry out the clay and get as much of the water off as we can. So anyway, we'll let this sit and it'll settle out, and we'll come check it out tomorrow. Somehow there's little clay tracks on my floor. Okay, so we're back the next morning. You can see the top of the water here, and then down about 6 inches is the clay layer settled out. And over time, it'll continue to settle and kind of compact in there. But I'm gonna start scooping this water out. And there's kind of a trick to scooping the water off. As long as the water doesn't pour back out of this cup into the container, you won't stir up that clay layer. And I'll actually get my siphon tube so you can see how that can do the same thing.